good cause. It's a good buy. Somebody's going to win some nice playhouses.
I want one.
There's 6 of them out there, and for $5, they're all worth $5, right?
Putting it mildly. But the big raffle is this Saturday. So I hear that there's going to be a band. There's going to be refreshments. It's a big to-do. And whoever wins the raffle gets to pick up their house and take it home with them.
All right, today we're going to be...
my question. I was going to
how
wonder
are
if you
they
were going to
getting
deliver
home?
some of those.
It's interesting.
Somebody's going to deliver.
Yeah, and last year, Miller Wrecking came through and volunteered. So if they're in the same mode this year, we'd welcome their
Haven't heard from
support.
them this year.
They're avoiding you. And taking home a 2-story castle is going to be a trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today's topic, we're going to be talking about restoration, preservation, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and remodeling. Mac, you specialize in that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well,
Mainly restoration.
Mainly restoration.
Historic, yes.
All right.
Good. Because I want to know what the difference is.
The difference in what?
Between restoration and remodeling.
Remodeling can be mainly on anything, any time period. Normally, restoration is taking something back the way it was that is normally older. I like 50 years and plus.
Yeah, they got.
And do you work with historical societies? Do you get that involved in them?
The Texas Historical Society, yes, of Texas takes like 3 years experience working on a historical site before you can become recognized and work under one of their structures. Like the courthouse here I worked on, and the Lee County Courthouse.
Right. Well, okay, we'll start out. Let's go. Let's just take them one at a time. Preservation. Now, preservation is actually just maintaining something to keep it to where it lasts
right
from here on out. So we're trying to preserve something. So you've got to do your proper maintenance, repaint when necessary. Are there any codes as far as what type of paints and stuff you use on these restoration jobs? They're not allowing you to use lead paint anymore, are they?
No. They've got all latex and they're even getting low volatile fume way
low
down.
VOC.
Yes.
But if you're going, how do you go
They
about
go by color schemes also.
I figured that if the colors weren't around back when it was built, then you're not allowed to use it, correct?
Right.
Who sets all these codes?
Historic Society.
Okay.
If it is a registered historic building already or home.
All right.
So there's a very specific identification process. If it's just an old house in an old neighborhood, I own the oldest house on the block, that doesn't mean it has to follow these codes.
No.
So it has to be identified by a specific group?
Well, and you would have to be getting funding from them before they're going to step in and tell you what it should be.
Will they actually help pay for the restoration?
I have heard they can.
They can?
In some ways. I don't know if it's a percentage of interest or if they give loans.
And is that a state organization? It's not federal?
No, it is state.
Okay.
Is there a federal organization also?
I'm not sure.
Well, there's a national trust. I thought that was who things like Monticello were under federal control, I think.
Yeah, that's the National Trust, I believe.
So that you've got to deal with the state. Does the state come out and inspect to make sure you're doing everything?
Unlike a courthouse, which is a total. Yeah, they would come out every week.
What about residential? I mean, you're talking more commercial type property.
More of the City Historic Commission checks on it.
So the city's historical society?
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me about, I don't understand the difference between, if you've got an old building to conserve, can you add new technologies to that old building to conserve it?
Yes. Completely update everything.
So restoration, you wouldn't be able to.
No, in restoration you can.
No, you'd have to update all the plumbing, mechanical systems.
All your mechanicals.
What they're actually restoring is the actual look of it.
So it's
with
just
the original wood that was used,
so
and things like this, like longleaf, old growth pine.
And you have to go searching for that kind of material?
Yes, there's some dealers throughout Texas and in the north.
Oh, that's exciting. And that's the kind of stuff that you see on specials on PBS that I'm always watching. And do you have craftsmen that take this special wood and then are able to? You've seen what's his name, the Yankee Workshop.
Right.
Whoa, what a gorgeous
workshop! He can answer that after we come back from our first break. We've got to take a break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Mike Davis with MHD Construction and Gene Gibson, Vice President of Gibson Home Builders. We're talking about remodeling, restoration, preservation, reconstruction, rehabilitation, and all the R words.
Intervention.
Not with the double A. Okay, good.
Well, preservation doesn't start with an R, does it? But anyway, we were talking about...
I had a question.
All right.
And I'm asking you about the talent of matching up pieces. If you're doing a renovation and you need to match some old piece of carving or a wainscoting or ceiling trim detail, where do you go for all that?
I've got a mill shop north of town, and he can mill most anything or get the knives to do it. And there's one hand carver here in town that I know of. Right
here in good old Weatherford, huh?
Yeah, he's south off of Tin Top.
The hand carvers here in the United States are far and few between.
He's the only hand carver I know locally.
I only thought there was like 3 or 4 in the United States still. I mean, and most of them have trained, or a lot of them have trained in England and gone to master carving schools and all this other stuff.
Oh my!
I mean, it's quite. You get some stuff out there that has been hand carved back in 1784 or whatever, and they've got a piece that they need to match it with. Well, you've got to get a hand carver to come after it. They've got some CNC machines and stuff that do a lot of it now. But,
what's CNC?
It's a machine that you program and that it actually goes in and does the carving. You place your stock in the in the area. I don't really know. I've watched them. That's about it. But they're fascinating. They're all computer driven. You give it a program.
It's a computerized router machine.
Yeah, and it goes in and carves everything, anything that you can put in it pretty well. And,
My gosh.
But
the machines are eliminating all that hand talent?
Well,
no.
There are still things you have to hand?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'll only get so far and so deep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and then who takes over? You said you do a lot of that carving yourself?
No.
You do the...
I just do the milling work and take care of it and apply it.
Very good.
They got
put the wainscoting up or whichever.
And you know how to do all those fancy edges and things that they...
Fancy edges? What kind of fancy edges?
Well, you see the old houses. They're, especially Victorian houses, were far more ornate than what we're doing now. So, contrast a 50s house, straight line and sterile, to a Victorian house. They were very ornate.
Well, I mean, you're talking about spending a lot of money that when they go out and appraise it, they appraise it by the square foot. They don't tell you that, well, they've got all these carved corbels up there and all this other stuff. They don't care what you put on to deck it out.
Well, I would imagine that a historically designated house would come under a different criteria completely.
I don't know of any. Do you, Mac?
Not in town, really.
No, I think that's one of the reasons you don't see all the ornate carvings or anything like that on any new structures, even though they build them, the Victorian houses and all this other stuff, and they don't come in and pay somebody $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to put up, just foo-foo stuff on that. I guess foo-foo. Yeah, that's a new word for me, I guess. Anyway, when you're rehabbing, you're actually going in and putting back together. Is that rehabbing or reconstruction?
It'd be reconstruction to me, just putting back together what was there originally.
But old houses weren't designed with a place for an air conditioner. They weren't designed for... the air conditioning was a novelty up until, the 50s or the 60s. And so how do you go into an old house and recondition it, restore it, renovate it, when you don't have the runways, you don't have the access? If it's a plaster wall...
Well, usually you have basement crawl spaces. So you utilize those for ducking. You'll end up making chaseways places, closing small corners off or something, or in the center. And
well, they've got some high pressure air conditioning systems now too that don't require the large duct, so you can bring in like a 2-inch or a 3-inch duct
pipe
and cool it that way.
It's still forced air, but it's high pressured.
So you don't have all those 10-inch and 8-inch ducts coming out and going through the attics and all that stuff. You just run, like I said, about a 2-inch pipe and bring them in that way.
But you have to be very, very creative to get even a 2-inch pipe through some of the walls and ceilings and floors.
That's why you charge for it. I mean, it's
remove the ceilings and work on the second floor, and vice versa.
I mean, rehabbing, remodeling, and all that stuff always costs more than new construction because of all the problems that you run into. I mean, you're going to have to come in and you're going to have to bring everything up to code as far as your mechanical systems, and you may have to design, engineer a whole lot of things.
Doorways and everything's usually understructured.
Right.
What's understructured mean?
Not up to code building-wise in the framework. Over doorways and windows.
So you have to rip it all out and re-support?
Usually just around that area and build it up to code.
You were saying before the show that it's always easier just to go in and gut. How many times do you actually get the opportunity to go in and actually gut a building to do... He's giving me a signal to stop.
Yeah, we got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank of Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you looking for a law firm with an understanding of the construction industry? Kelly M. Davis & Associates experience includes home inspections, construction contracts, disputes with builders, and helping subcontractors or vendors that have not been paid for their services. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009.
Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer Genair, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
I'm Jean Gibson, and I love Weatherford, and I'm proud to offer Zion Hill Estates. Zion Hill Estates is a country development 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, department stores, and in the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums gives you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. 2 or more acres will give you space for your horse or your goats. Gibson Home Builders, 682-429-2116. We'd like to show you the land and an energy-efficient model home. The number is 682-429-2116.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I forgot where I was here for a minute. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Mac Davis with MHD Construction and Gene Gibson with Gibson Home Builders. We're talking about rehabbing, reconstruction, preservation, reconstruction. Or did I already say that? I said that once, right? Okay. Anyway.
It's those senior moments.
Yeah,
that's what
he's senior moments. We're talking about primarily rehabbing old residential, I guess, old anything. Is there any, you said there was a requirement, 50, 100-year-old?
No, there's no requirement as far as I know
on historical value.
At least got to be antique.
Antique. So I thought antique was at least
over 100 years old officially.
Yeah. But they've got some standards, I guess, that they've put down. The Department of Energy, or one of the departments. It's the standards of standards for rehabilitation. Department of Interior Regulations. So it's a Department of the Interior that set down the regulations, and they've got some standards. And the standards, in a nutshell, it says the property shall be used for its historic purpose or be placed in a new use that requires minimal change in the defining characteristics of the building. So that's one. Do you understand that?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know who it applies to.
Now, this is any building that meets the historic building criteria. So
it's one of those officially designated buildings.
Yeah, that would have to be designated by the state or by the federal government. There's a lot of the park services and stuff have old, like in Yellowstone. Well, we visited one down in Zion Hill, not Zion Hill. What was the name of it? Zion Canyon, State Federal Park, that had some preservation to to
That's
dwellings and stuff. Yeah, federal park. But they have certain standards they've got to go by, that you can't go in and just excavate and tear it down and rebuild it. There's certain rules and regulations that you have to follow on each one of these.
But I had a question before you went to a break to interrupt you about following rules and regulations.
Okay.
And Mac, you were saying that about my concern is cost of renovation, remodeling. Just an older house, I want it to continue to look old. And you're saying that slabs are a new invention, so you have access under most of these old houses.
That's within 50 years, yeah. I mean, it's
50 years or more, you expect it to be on a pier and beam.
right.
So you have bottom access. What about these big stone places? The one I was telling you about this morning, that it's one of the old stone houses. Are they up off the ground?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you still have access underneath of those.
Yes.
Wasn't it old copper pipes originally for all the water in all those old houses?
No, it's galvanized, and that's what will rust out and become actually almost no water flow.
Ah.
They've got, they had the old cast iron pipes, too, for all your drain pipes and stuff. So you go in and when you rehab.
And you're saying they're no good now?
Well, they tend to clog up. They're not.
The bottom will start rusting.
I mean, they are iron, so
yeah.
You need to go in and pull all that out. Yeah, well, you don't need to, but it's best to if you want to go in and plumbing to operate efficiently. You need to kind of get rid of it, don't you, Mike?
Yes.
I would think you'd have to upgrade. That's what costs so much when you buy these old houses. You may go in and spend, say, $200,000-$300,000 buying the old home.
Yeah.
And then you back out of it and you say, well, go ahead and restore it, and you may spend $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 restoring it. And because the price of remodeling is going to run you 2.5, 3 times what it would cost you to build it new, and you could build a new one to look just like it, but it wouldn't have the historic characteristics you could make it with the characteristics and character of the house, but it wouldn't be. I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Wouldn't
have the spirits in it,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
See, and I like the ghosts and the goblins of the old houses. What I had asked you about earlier, too, was that your preference was to go in and gut the house, rip out the walls if you're going to leave the exterior alone, rip out all the interior walls. You said it's really less expensive to do that than to try and work around everything.
Well, you just strip down the walls.
Uh-huh.
You don't rip them out.
You don't rip them out. I mean, you just strip down your walls.
What's the difference between what I think I'm hearing?
Because if you remove a wall, you remove a structural part of the building.
Oh, all right. So we're talking about taking off, would be plaster 50 years ago? Is sheetrock newer than that?
It's a new
It's a
50
relatively new
year, 60
product.
year thing.
And so there are still people around that do plaster walls?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. They're far and few in between, but there's some around.
So
And there's ways to repair it, too.
To repair the old plaster?
Yeah, where it won't crack again in spots. It may crack somewhere else, but
wow.
Where you do the repair, it won't.
Well, we've got some, they've got products out now.
Latexes and additives that
they've got some elastomeric type stuccos and stuff now that you can put on there that will actually move
with the building.
With the building, yeah. But the primary thing what you want to do is fix the building where it doesn't move. I mean, you're supposed to.
But you're looking at walls with no insulation.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Maybe no fire blocking.
Wow.
And you need to update electric, plumbing. This is how, if you open it all up, you can work
get
the upstairs
see
and down, and you have all this open air.
And that's usually the reason it costs so much to remodel, because you go in new and you don't have to do the demolition part of it. You don't have to upgrade. I mean, you've got to get rid of all that stuff that's in there and take it out and put all new back in.
And you said you just haul it off. There's none of this that you salvage. Old windows that you take out. Do you save those for salvage? Doorknobs.
My wife likes to collect the windows. So. Oh yeah, there's some things,
there are
and
some
we
of
try
those
to
parts.
reuse a lot.
You normally on those things you reuse them in the house if you're doing a restoration project.
The Mary Martin house I just finished. We
love that
totally
place.
redid all the hardware, had it polished up.
You took the hardware out of the place and polished it?
And polished it all up, had it replated if it needed it. Some of it finally wears off. And
Was it brass knobs
Yes.
that you had replated?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Brass and glass.
Wow. I love that house. It is absolutely gorgeous. The other one, are you doing the Victorian house here on Main Street?
No.
Who bought that? An insurance agency bought it?
Or a realtor, I'm not sure.
No, you're not doing that one? Because
No.
that's very pretty. It's such a pretty house.
I had also done the Doc Campbell home.
And I don't know that
That's
one.
the one behind the Super Save with the white columns.
Big big one with
I
white
have
collar.
to go look.
Yeah, you'll have to go look after the show.
And what was that one like?
That was 3.5 year project.
Oh, tell us what you did.
Yeah.
What can you do for
Every bit of mechanical. We totally stripped down all the woodwork because it was stained so dark you couldn't see any of the detail of it. And it was beautiful longleaf, heart pine, old growth. It was in great shape. Fixed all the plaster of the walls.
You take off the wood that you stripped down and cleaned up was what?
No,
the
we
trim?
stripped it in place.
Yeah.
Oh.
And sanded it
My
as it
gosh.
raises the grain.
Is that doors and baseboards? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Doors,
enormous
baseboards.
size baseboards. And
What's enormous?
12-inch.
Oh, how wonderful. How old was that house?
1903.
Uh-huh.
The
Oh, I know what the one you mean now. Yes, it registers.
how often do you run into insect damage and stuff like that in these older homes? Quite a bit.
Yes.
So you're
I'd
having to go in
say 75% of the time.
75%.
And what do you
And they
do?
may not be there anymore. They've already damaged it.
Right.
So you have to
Have to
deal
go
with
in
that
and-
some.
And you have to match up the wood that's damaged with the original.
Mm-hmm.
What a collection of craftspeople you must have in your Rolodex to
just-
find the people to do this, the materials to do all these things.
Yes. It's,
That's impressive, Mac.
Yeah, just like if we lost our cell phones, we couldn't do any business because
It's true how business has changed.
I add people to my cell phone directory, almost weekly. Still, I find somebody else that can do something
Of crafts
else.
people.
And the ones that actually are doing such a good quality job and stuff, you want to kind of keep them in your book all the time. So, like I said, if we lost the cell phones, I need to take
keep
time.
backup card
Yeah.
file.
Yeah, I need. I
That's
do
me.
have.
That's me.
I have one also, but I'm sure I've got probably 40 or 50 names in mine that I don't have written down because it's kind of a instantaneous thing that somebody calls you looking for work, and then you go look at their work and you just kind of save them in your file there, and
But I still want to know what you did for 3.5 years.
Removed all the exterior siding, replaced it with milled cypress.
Oh, my, how nice.
Totally redid the whole house. I mean, we left it as original as possible, but we spent 8 months just sanding the interior woodwork.
Oh, wow.
what's the most difficult problem that we encounter restoring an old house? What is it?
Well, first of all, are people living in there?
Mechanical update.
Are the people still living in there while you're doing this?
No, they had bought it, and
There's nobody around. So when you're
Right.
ripping out the mechanical,
There is no mechanical.
There is no mechanical. There'd be old heat source of some sort.
no heat. Somebody had tried to put
Something
AC in this one,
tried.
Central or windows?
central, and botch jobs here and there, and you just have to patch this back up and make it hide.
Yeah, because you've got to on a lot.
Take out elevators, and that's where you end up putting AC units.
Yeah, right there in the elevator shaft. That'd be a good.
But that's a shame to take out a 100-year-old
You just
elevator.
got to walk.
Because those things, I just think, have so much value.
It had already been removed mainly. I mean, you were just finding pieces of it.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever find any treasures or things hidden away in the houses when you're ripping in the walls?
I look for money. We have found, under baseboards and
Yeah.
things, money from the period.
Well, how
1903 dime.
Oh,
in
dimes, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Not the $1 million
we
from the
keep
Great
looking.
Train Robbery.
Oh, we just keep looking for the Confederate gold. I mean,
Yeah, right. It's got to be in one of these houses somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're first the steps you need to follow, I guess, when you're rehabbing a historic building is first you identify the materials and features that are important, must be maintained, and then you've got to go out and do your research and find the materials, and then find, especially if you've got certain types of carvings and stuff, find somebody that can duplicate those carvings.
And he was saying that there's a big carving in Mary Martin's house, right?
there is, and I don't know where they had acquired that from. It was in the house,
Yeah.
and it sold with
But did you have to do anything to it?
No.
Your angel?
They had it
Restored,
restained
but you
and
didn't.
fixed the wood on it, but no.
The next thing you need to do is learn how to protect and preserve what you've got, and that way you doesn't get into the trouble where you got to maintenance. Do your maintenance. Go in, and if things need to be caulk them. Because our main problem out here is weather and moisture intrusion, and that causes, and hail, and hail every now and then.
Just the sun.
The sun
of Texas eats it up, no matter what.
Well, what do you do about the termite damage? You replace that, but how do you treat the land, the house, and all the termites?
I'll have termite people come out and just.
It's not one of those things where you're tenting. Have you ever had to tent a house?
No.
To fumigate them, they're never that bad.
Well, you see those mostly on coastal areas and stuff. I don't know if they do it here or not. I have never seen it done.
I haven't.
Not around
locally
here.
I have seen one. A couple of them in Fort Worth tented.
Yeah.
Apparently they were really bad, but
infested. And other than termites, what other kind of creatures have you found in old houses?
Carpenter ants.
Yeah.
They will eat up whole floorboard.
Mice and squirrels. Nothing? No?
Holes.
Mice and squirrel get in your attic and chew up your wiring, get into your air conditioning ducts and things like that. We got a couple of squirrels over our office right now.
Please.
Trying to get me to catch. But I put a trap out last night. Hopefully the little sucker will take the bait and go in there.
It's quiet when he comes into the office, and I'm sitting there quietly working on my computer. I can hear them up there bowling, running around, having parties.
I just hope they don't chew through a water pipe up there. And
it's your personal problem.
Yeah, I know. It's my personal problem.
So tell us some more about the renovation as opposed. Renovation, to me, seems far more taxing than a conventional remodel. And there would be no guidelines. Each renovation job certainly would be priced differently, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's cost plus. And when you go into those, because there's no telling what kind of can of worms you're going to open up. You go to fix one thing, you got to fix four more before you can go back to that problem and repair it.
It just like he was talking about the structural part of it. If you go in and tear out a wall and see that it's a supporting wall and it's not braced according to the codes that we have now, you have to go back in and redo all that. But there's no way you can actually go in and estimate, just by looking at a wall and saying, well, I need to replace the wiring, I need to replace the plumbing, I need to replace that header. That we got black mold behind here, and so you got to go in and it's best to do them cost plus, wouldn't you think?
It is. On some things like that, it's just hard to go in and say so much per square foot.
Well, yeah, and I know the guys that actually go in and they will bid a fixed bid on it, but what they do, they have to be very specific on what their work will cover, and they'll go in and say, well, we're going to do this, but if we run into these problems, it's going to cost you more, and so I'll fix the price on replacing this thingamajig, whatever they're going to replace, and then they, like I said, they get behind the wall, and all of a sudden it's a nightmare. And then,
have you gotten into asbestos remediation on any of your houses?
No, luckily we haven't.
Because remediation is one of those things that makes a whole project go tilt, isn't it?
Now, we did have a little bit in one of the courthouses. I don't remember which one, which was just...
A little bit of what?
Asbestos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they
what's the protocol?
They came in and they just brought in a team to remove it. So
who brings them in? Are there specialists for remediation?
Brought them in.
Yeah, there's remediation teams that you bring in, just like
the state brought them in, though. So these are state employees that are doing it?
No.
Oh,
they just said
they're certified. At one time, I was certified to go in and do boring and not actually do the remediation and remove it because we didn't do any demolitions. But we were installing bays and racks and stuff in older buildings, and if you're boring through the tile on the floor, they have asbestos tiles on the floor. So when you bore that thing, what you do, you take you've got to have there's a certain type vacuum cleaner that actually sucks it in that doesn't release any fumes, and you actually take shaving cream, and around the drill bit itself, you put a plastic bag over the top of it. You put shaving cream down there, bore your hole, and then push the plastic bag down around the hole and the shaving cream and scoop it up. And then you have to close that off and tag it, put it inside another, and you had to send it to a certain federal agency to
capture the asbestos dust.
Any work that you did in those buildings had to be done by a certain standard because you didn't want to get that stuff airborne.
And that's the only way asbestos is a problem.
It's just airborne. Right.
So it can actually stay in an old building.
Yeah, as long as you don't do any tear out and all this other stuff. We got to take another break. We'll be back here in just a minute.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you looking for a law firm with an understanding of the construction industry? Kelly M. Davis & Associates experience includes home inspections, construction contracts, disputes with builders, and helping subcontractors or vendors that have not been paid for their services. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009.
Kelly M. Davis and Associates principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas. Croft Foam Insulation and Protective Coatings has over 25 years of experience in the spray foam business, serving residential, commercial, and industrial clients. Croft Foam specializes in open and closed cell polyurethane foam applications to construction, refrigerated trailers, and even castles. Croft Foam is a Fort Worth-based company. You may reach them by calling 817-482-1664 or email at foamman@swbell.net.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Mac Davis with MHD Construction and Gene Gibson with Gibson Home Builders.
You don't know your own phone number, Mac? What is that?
Anyway, if you've got any questions for us, you can give us a call at 877-341-8950. Or if you've got any restoration, remodeling work, you can contact me or Mac. And you can get in touch with both of us just by going to my website, Jim at masterbuildershow.com, or you can contact Mac at 817-235-1780, 817-235-1780. His name is Mac Davis. He is the owner of MHD Construction, and we are working in tandem nowadays trying to get everything going, I guess, cover all bases, aren't we, Mac?
Yes.
We'll do anything, any type of construction, either on new or old buildings. And we've kind of formed a partnership, a little
how neat.
Partnership.
Now you tell me.
Now I'll tell you. I don't tell you everything.
You don't tell me
I
anything.
keep you in the dark like a mushroom. But anyway.
That was last year.
That was last year? Anyway, repair work, when you're talking about repair work, you're talking about patching, you're talking about piecing in, you're talking about splicing, you're talking about consolidating, or otherwise reinforcing or upgrading according to preservation standards, correct?
Right.
All right. So if y'all have any questions about restoration or rehabilitation, preservation, or remodeling, please give us a call at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. What are some of the, I guess, interesting things? Why would anybody go out and buy an old house knowing that they're going to have to spend thousands to redo it. Why would they do that? Matt?
Because they're charming, because they have style,
the charm
because
of
they
it.
have character, because
Yes.
they're beautiful. Are those some of the reasons, Mac?
And usually the wife says, I love it, and let's do it.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I grew up in those kind of old houses, and I would love to have one.
And I keep telling her I'll build her any new old house that she wants.
It won't creak the right way,
Won't
though.
creak, and, you
No
know,
character.
I can use my hardy plank siding. I can make it where it's virtually maintenance free and have everything in it brand new, energy efficient, all the insulation I want.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Now, I
What
can
you-
do that with an old home.
Yeah, you can, but it'll cost me twice as much.
What you had said off the air, that when we had mentioned asbestos, and you mentioned the siding on the old houses here in town was made out of, the shingles were made out of asbestos?
Asbestos siding. That's why they called it asbestos siding.
Well, I don't know. I never heard of all that. So it's still plenty of it around here.
Yeah, and as long as you're not tearing it down or disturbing it in any way, it's perfectly acceptable still. But if you actually start tearing it down, you really need to get a remediator in there, somebody that's licensed, somebody that knows what they're doing, because you can get asbestosis very, very easy from breathing in the fibers and causing irritation. Well, you know, you're the nurse.
Yeah,
So,
I recognize what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize that it was all that common.
Oh, it's
And
very
I-
common.
Yeah.
You know,
Very, very common. Especially
I grew up in stone houses, so I'm not up to date on all of this.
like I
Do you
said,
have tile floors?
No.
Okay.
The house that I grew up in was built during a chestnut blight. And the house was built out of the stone from the ground. It was Connecticut. Built out of the stone from the grounds, but the doors, the trim, the floors, everything was chestnut. So I don't remember anything being tile anywhere.
well, see, a lot of tile around here in the older buildings were asbestos tile. So when you go in and start busting them out, you got to really know what you really know what you need to know what you're getting into when you're doing restoration work, because you could harm yourself and other people by
Yeah.
disturbing all this old.
So you have to, Mac, you have to be savvy on what you're tearing into to know what
Yes.
it is.
And have it checked if we think it's
Yeah, when in doubt,
got
check
any
it
in
out.
it.
Impressive.
Yeah, because I mean, your
I still want to know what took 3.5 years to do the Campbell house. I cannot imagine 3.5 years on a house.
He was mounting a doorknob.
It was, redoing the doors, hardware, all the mechanical, totally redoing the kitchen, kind of redesigning some baths and locating more.
When you're actually adding on, there's certain criteria that you've got to meet when you're adding on to some of these historic structures, isn't there, too? I mean, as far as you can't just go in and say, I want to add a 2,000 square foot game room on the back of this sucker, I mean, and keep it in the historic.
Oh, no. I was about to say, but
I mean,
he could. It was his. He wanted to. He wanted to add it.
But it doesn't the state or the historical society have certain regulations or rules?
if
that
it's
have to
registered
follow?
with,
If it is a registered
Right.
historical site, then they can pretty well control what you do as far as additions. Yes or no? Possibly.
I have to inquire about that.
Okay, it looks like we've got a phone caller. This is Jim Gibson. May I help you?
Yeah, my name is Ken Bateman. I was going to tell you guys you got a great show. It's very interesting. I spent summers in Weatherford when I was a kid in the old house, the rock house up on top of the hill on East Simmons Street, which is a real good example of how it's not been restored but rehabilitated. The people there did a great job on that. But I was curious about some of the older buildings around Weatherford, especially around the square. When I travel to Weatherford, I'm kind of disappointed that some of those buildings have gotten in disrepair, and some are gone, and some of the facades have been modernized. And I wondered if there was any programs in Weatherford to kind of rehabilitate the downtown area. And in particular, there's a building a couple of blocks off the square that my grandmother was involved in, the 20th Century Club. I was wondering if you knew who owned that building now, what they're using it for, if the 20th Century Club still exists. And I generally just wanted to encourage you guys, since you're plugged into the building industry there, to do what you can to make Weatherford look like she used to look back in the 1940s and 1950s. I'll listen off the air.
All right,
Great
thank you.
show. You bet.
Mac.
Oh, I would love that, to have Weatherford restored. How does it happen, Mac?
I don't know.
Does Weatherford have a historical society? I'm sure
They do have a historical society. They one of the first ones was the Doc Campbell House that they recognized.
Okay.
I don't know how long they had been around before then.
Yeah.
What about this 20th century house?
I'm trying to picture where that's at.
We'll have to research it and see if we can find it.
I don't know where that's at.
Yeah.
But who paid for the Doc Campbell House if it was part of the historical?
It was an owner.
Oh, so there wasn't any private money coming in?
No, it wasn't registered. It's not registered now.
We'll continue this on after the
Except
break.
the
We've got
city.
to take a break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Are you having a construction-related issue? Do you need a construction attorney? If so, you may call the law firm of Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Kelly's family background in the construction industry has led to her focus in construction litigation, with over 9 years of experience practicing construction law in and around the metro area. For more information, you may visit www.kmdalegal.com, or you may call 972-434-8009. That's 972-434-8009. Kelly M. Davis and Associates. Principal offices are located in Louisville, Texas.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer Genair, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
I'm Jean Gibson, and I love Weatherford, and I'm proud to offer Zion Hill Estates. Zion Hill Estates is a country development 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, department stores, and in the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums gives you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. 2 or more acres will give you space for your horse or your goats. Gibson Home Builders, 682-429-2116. We'd like to show you the land and an energy-efficient model home. The number is 682-429-2116.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Mac Davis with MHD Construction. Mac is the owner, operator. We're kind of teaming up on restorations, building, and doing a lot of stuff. And you can reach Mac at 817-235-1780, or you can contact me at 682-429-2116, or you can reach me at Jim@masterbuildershow.com. or Jim at GibsonHomebuilders.com. And
you're just so easy to find.
I'm so easy to find. I'm highly visible.
Well, that last caller really stimulated a lot of conversation during the break here.
I know they're doing a lot of restoration down. Well, I don't know if it's restoration or rehabilitation that they're doing on the square right now. They're redoing all the streets or
based
around
on
the
what?
street, the parking area.
Were there old photographs or something that they're restoring based?
I don't know where they.
Where they come up,
design,
maybe it's just a nice design. Mm-hmm. But there's
old street lamps and old signals and everything.
That old bank that's right there on the northwest corner looks like it's been restored.
It has been refinished on the outside and repainted.
And
that's the original structure as far as I know.
Yeah, and a lot of the interior, I've been in that one before, and it is
lovely.
It's lovely, and it still got all the old wood flooring.
Yeah, that was the thing that was most noticeable, the huge windows and the old floors. You know, Mac, you and Jim are visible enough in this town to start a little bit of a movement going here to renovate the square. There's got to be interested parties.
Are you going to do all the research that's going to be necessary on this project?
If you'll leave me alone with a computer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there is a historical society. There are still residents.
We probably need to get in touch with the Historical Society here and see.
Yeah, and see what's going on.
I don't even know if there's any regulations or requirements or codes to doing anything on the square, whether or not to keep it, preserve the look.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think it would be wise to do so. But mm-hmm. I don't know if there's anything standing right at this moment.
I know the courthouse is, but that's the only one I know of down there.
And that's the county courthouse?
Right, but it's a state-known...
State-designated building?
Yes.
Okay. But everything else off of that, there are no other state buildings in the county seat?
Each building is independent of...
And privately owned?
More than likely, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, all the shops there are privately owned, I believe. Everything
and you were saying how to rejuvenate the square like Granbury does, or all the little shops,
right?
And to draw people
retail to draw people into that square, and instead of having an office building or something.
Mm-hmm. And there's new restaurants on the square too.
There are, and that's helping.
Yeah. And I think that's a great idea. And anybody that's interested should call you and Jim.
Right. If y'all would like to read more about restoration and preservation and reconstruction, rehabilitation, you can go to masterbuildershow.com. And it'll take you right into my website. And we have links that will take you to today's topics there. And you go to show notes and you can read, I think today's show notes are about 10 pages long. Mm-hmm. And you can actually go through and read those if you missed any part of the show. We don't ever follow the show notes exactly. We kind of free flow this show and just talk about what's off the top of our head. But anyway.
And the shows are all podcasts. Yep. So you can download the whole show and listen to us. Houses down at the Super Save on South Main Street.
And I built the castle.
And he's so humble about it.
I know. I want it to be haunted.
And keep this up, it will be. Yes.
So we've got to wrap it up. We'll see you all next Tuesday. My guest today was Mac Davis with MHD Construction. And like I said, if you've got any restoration or rehabilitation or remodeling or building a new house, you can contact Mike R.I. at masterbuildershow.com and go to our contact link. Anyway, we'll see you next Tuesday.